Good morning, Year 4. Your English lesson today, we are going to be looking at using punctuation to support your writing. So your anchor task is to identify features of punctuation. Our destination is to use it effectively to support ideas. And here is some key vocabulary you may well need. So, our anchor task then to begin. What do we already know? I want you to brainstorm everything you know about punctuation. So that might be different types of punctuation, how it is used, where it is used, what is the purpose of punctuation, how does it help us to read when we are reading through a text. Any ideas you can brainstorm. So pause the video and write this in your books now. So, below is a poem which describes a piece of punctuation. What is it? Okay, so the poem reads, "What am I? I'm round at the top and straight at the bottom, with a little dot at my feet. You'll find me at the end of a sentence where I take my seat. I'm in search of an answer. I have a query, I'm inquisitive, I interrogate. So what am I? Have you guessed? I'm a... Of course, I hope you are impressed." So what sort of punctuation does this describe? And when you've worked it out, can you create your own short riddle or poem to describe another piece of punctuation? So this task is only a starter and I only want it to take 5 minutes. So just 3 or 4 lines to give some clues as to a piece of punctuation. Okay, so in front of you, you now have a waggle of the beginning of the Dragon Slayer story. And what you are going to do is read through this waggle and identify the Year 4 punctuation that I have used. And are there any other Year 4 features you can identify which you can magpie and use in your writing later in the week? So, in a time where dragons threatened mankind, there was only one man to fight them. That's what he did, day in and day out. Then one day, under the blanket of grey, a fearless, powerful warrior journeyed through derelict lands. The sodden, bedraggled horse trudged along the muddy path. His rider, who was feeling determined, wiped the moisture from his chiselled face as rain continued to fall endlessly. After some time, the brave man and his companion came across a quiet hamlet. A blacksmith and his son were busy shaping, chiselling and crafting when they noticed the stranger passing through. They immediately recognised his glistening armour and downed their tools. "Well done, brave knight," the young man bellowed. "Are you off to slay another beast?" Tarragin grunted as he continued on his path to his next perilous quest. So pause the video at that point and pick out examples of effective use of punctuation, thinking about those Year 4 standards and what pieces of punctuation are particularly important in Year 4. Okay, so today your task then is to create sentences using Year 4 punctuation which you can use in your retell of the Dragon Slayer story. Okay, so I have made a little list of the punctuation that I would like to use. For example, I know that I always need capital letters and full stops. I'd like to use a comma for a relative clause. I'd like to use a comma for a fronted adverbial, a question mark, an exclamation mark, speech with a comma for the reporting clause. Okay, and then I'm going to pick out something that I want to use. So, for example, a fronted adverbial, and then I'm going to give an example of a sentence I could write. So, slowly the warrior travelled through the deserted plains. Okay, so I have used Year 4 punctuation effectively because I've used a fronted adverbial with a comma to follow it in my sentence. Then I would choose another one, so for example a 2A sentence, or you could even expand this and make it into an expanded noun phrase. And I would write an example of what I want to use there. So you are only writing sentences today. You are not beginning your retell, just separate sentences using different forms of punctuation. remembering throughout to be using capital letters and full stops correctly. Any questions, please email and we are happy to help.